I am Fomi Armstrong Sanda in Douala, Cameroon, the economic capital of the Republic of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, you are on to the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on your number one television channel, EQUINOXE Television. The calls for the boycott and calls against the programmed February 9, 2020 elections in Cameroon have multiplied. Many persons are calling on Cameroonians not to participate, saying no to election. A platform of a group of opposition political parties in Cameroon, international non-governmental organizations, right groups in Douala today has declared that no to the election should be the watchword of Cameroonians as days goes by to the February 2020 elections called by President Paul Biya. They had a meeting in the city of Douala today. We shall be telling you more in this edition of the news. That is the top and known story. Once more, ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome to the primetime newscast on EQUINOXE Television. We begin with calls across Cameroon against the election program by President Paul Biya of the Republic of Cameroon come February 9, 2020. Cameroonians have continued to express their feelings vis-a-vis the programmed the elections programmed by the President of the Republic of Cameroon. Several opposition political parties are boycotting the election. And of course, calls have continued to come from platforms of civil society organizations, right groups, and other opposition political parties in Cameroon. Today, Stand Up for Cameroon, a platform grouping opposition political parties in Cameroon, notably the Cameroon People's Party, that is the PAP, and that is Popular Action Party, PAP Party, CPP Party, that is the Cameroon People's Party, and of course, UPC, Manidem, the MP3 political party, and groups like Emonda Veni and other groups in Cameroon today have gathered in the city of Douala to say no to the 2020 election, that is the municipal and legislative elections programmed by the President of the Republic of Cameroon. Meeting at the Stand Up for Cameroon head office in Bali, the economic capital Douala, these groups say they are reasons enough for Cameroonians not to participate in the elections called by President Paul Biya, citing among other reasons the worsening Anglophone crisis. They say after listening to testimonies and regarding and equally taking a close look at the evolution and the worsening nature of the Anglophone crisis, they think there is no need for Cameroonians to go to the polls because they cannot be voting at the time when people are suffering. They brought together equally individuals who have been trapped in the war in the southwest region of Cameroon and in the northwest with testimonies of how people have lost their job in enterprises in the Anglophone regions, notably some from the Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC, where over 20,000 persons have lost their jobs and of course are unable to live a worthy life. According to them, these persons are suffering enough, and of course some women equally who told disturbing stories on how life is with them in the northwest region of Cameroon. Some of them who indicated how they have been suffering, that is in the hands of armed individuals and equally soldiers as they fight each other in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. The Stand Up for Cameroon movement equally outlined the electoral code in Cameroon, indicating that the electoral code in Cameroon and the elecam itself is fashioned to favor the ruling CPT and political party and continue to put in place the sitting regime. And of course, there is no need for Cameroonians to participate. They say all Cameroonians should join their voices and say no to the upcoming election, and of course, and concentrate on issues like the Boko Haram in the far north region of Cameroon, and equally the suffering of young persons, jobless in several parts of Cameroon, notably in the south region, where some other persons were equally brought from and who gave testimonies of how they have been suffering in the south region of Cameroon. In the following excerpt, we propose to you Fabrice Lena. He is equally a member of the Popular Action Political Party, which is equally part of the Stand Up for Cameroon movement. Take a listen.
If the Anglophone crisis is not solved, if there is no ceasefire, the stand-up for Cameroon political parties, individuals and leaders will not be part of the dubious and fraudulent election organized by the Yaoundé regime to continue deceiving the Cameroonian people. When we look at the institutions, the electoral code, ELECAM, that is organizing elections in Cameroon, the electoral code full of irregularities, procedure of candidature at the level of municipal elections, very cumbersome, complicated, aim at satisfying the aspiration of the CBDM party alone, so that they can confiscate power, maintain it, as they have been doing for the past 37 years. ELECAM is a body that is designed by the CBDM regime never to even give respect to Cameroonian people. That is why at the Constitutional Council, that was a glaring example after the 2018 presidential elections. They defended the interests of their party, making clear to Cameroonians that we are not there for you. We are there for ourselves, for self-aggrandizement, to steal taxpayers' income, to maintain power till they do us part.
And of course, you shall be listening to him detailing in this edition of the newscast, just to let you know that he's our guest in the second part of this newscast. And time to talk something else now. I joined a statement of the Secretary General of La Francophonie, the Commonwealth, and the chairperson of the African Union Commission after a 2-day visit to the Republic of Cameroon. It should be noted that they met with stakeholders in the Republic of Cameroon after meeting with President Paul Biya, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Cameroon. They equally met with leaders of the opposition, notably Maurice Kamto of the CRM political party, Joshua Osi of the SDF party, and Cabral B and other religious authorities. What was their declaration at the end of the visit to Cameroon? Innocent as a tells us more.
The African Union Commission Chairperson Musa Faki Mahamat, the Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland, and Louise Mushikiwabo, Secretary General of the International Organization of La Francophonie, were on a working visit in Cameroon from November 26th to the 28th, 2019. They have been meeting with government authorities and other stakeholders to encourage momentum in efforts to address the conflict in the northwest and southwest regions of the country. The Commonwealth spokesperson in a statement of the joint mission to Cameroon said the country is a valuable member nation of the African Union, the Commonwealth, and the La Francophonie, whose rich diversity is to be celebrated. To the spokesperson, every Cameroonian deserves peace and a return to normality. Also that the Commonwealth welcomes the outcomes of the major national dialogue that held in Yaoundé, as well as other existing homegrown initiatives aimed at addressing the conflict. President Paul Biya, according to the Commonwealth statement of the joint mission of the AU, IOF and Commonwealth, will continuously be met, including other stakeholders, on the progress being made in addressing the root causes of the conflict in the two English-speaking regions and how they can lend their collective assistance in promoting lasting peace in Cameroon. They had mentioned in Yaoundé, after talks with the head of state Paul Biya, that peace and good governance constitute the force of social cohesion.
Innocent Azede reporting on the declaration of the Secretary General of La Francophonie, the Commonwealth, and the African Union Commission chairperson after their visit to Cameroon. Meantime, the chief of the Kolo village in a Limbetri subdivision says if Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, that's the ruling CPTM, a political party, doesn't sit up, they will risk losing the Limbetri municipality in the upcoming election in Cameroon. His Royal Majesty Epopa Samuel Samuel Ekom made the declaration after EQUINOXE team visited Bimbia, which is, according to him, the host place and the strategic point in the Limbe 3 municipality, but has been abandoned by the CPTM political party, the party that is in charge of the Limbe 3 council area. Take a listen to the traditional ruler in the following excerpt.
Since the inception of this subdivision in 2007, CPDM has won all elections. But today, if you go and knock the door of anybody here in Limbe 3, they will tell you that they have no confidence again in the CPDM government. Because of this road, we have suffered a lot on this road. And our politicians only know us when it is time for elections. Very soon they will flex their muscles to come here to come and talk campaign and start singing Oye, Oye, and the end, when we give them their votes, when they go, they forget us, they throw us in the dustbins. We are telling them, elections will be here. We have called on the contractor, let them start the work. If they don't start the work, SDF are trying to build up a list, whoever wins will win. But we are asking the CPDM government to sit up. Let them sit up. And our politicians of the CPDM who are here, they should sit up. Let them not deceive us again. We are tired of their deception. If we look at the road, it's a World Heritage Center. It's not the best. When there is rainfall here, you cannot climb. You visited the area. When there's rainfall here, just for 1 hour, you cannot go to the slave trade center. But that is a slave trade center that has been advertised the whole world. Bimbia is a very historic village. Very historic. Alfred Secker landed here in 1844 and packed out of this place in 1858 and founded Victoria in 1858. Bimbia is a very historic area. We know it. Even before the arrival of Secker, the Portuguese landed here. Treaties signed between us, between Cameroon and our colonial masters were signed between the Bimbia people and the Douala people and our colonial masters. King Bila of Bimbia and King Bell of Douala signed treaties annexing Cameroon to the Germans during the scramble for Africa. But look at it. It has been neglected. After the creation of Victoria, the place has just been neglected as though it has no history.
And just like the traditional ruler, the people of Bimbia are asking the governments of Cameroon to consider developing the touristic side. Bimbia, as indicated by the traditional ruler there, is one of the historic sites in Cameroon noted for the activities of the slave traders in the slave trade periods in the Republic of Cameroon. More with Simad Njikan Gabriel in the following report.
The warehouse of a Renaissance construction company is the only sign which shows that the road leading to the slave trade village in Bimbia is to be constructed. Unfortunately, since the contract was handed to the company in 2017, works are still to commence on the road that was once managed by the Cameroon Development Corporation, CDC.
This road was originally a CDC road. So the CDC constructed this road for the easy evacuation of their crops to the mills and to the rubber estate. After the CDC, the government took over this road by the community development. They were maintaining the road. Subsequently, the government came in and took. But since the government took over the road, the CDC removed their hands. The community development to remove their hands, but since the government took over, nothing is being done.
The road that many had expected to be completed by now is still not ready, as the road remains a veritable nightmare for road users.
Fortunately, we got information that in 2017 that the road had been given on contract. And we were happy. We were jubilating. Now it's dry season. Tourists are coming from all over the world who want to come and see the slave trade village. But look at the road. The contract was given. The contractor has not been able to do anything. We wrote and they said the contract was suspended because of the socio-political situation in the country. But we said no. So we wrote March last year, or March this year, and they lifted the ban. We had meetings with them, with the director of roads. They agreed that September they are going to start the work. They came here and they constructed what you see there, that the equipment will be packed there. September, nothing. October, nothing. We are in November.
As a result of the poor state of the roads, the Gendarmerie Brigade and the Tourism Office, newly constructed, are still to be used. Incomes that the Limbe 3 Council gets from tourists visiting the slave trade village has also dropped.
They give this road for some contractor, and we are saying now we brought the two from Northwest. We're not government delegate for Northwest. Now get the contract.
With the unkept promises received by the inhabitants of Bimbia village, they believe that if work doesn't start immediately on the road, the result of the upcoming election from Limbe 3 subdivision might be negative for the ruling political party.
The population here is very, 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 very angry. Angry with who? With the CPDM government. And we have written another letter to our politicians here. Throughout, since the inception of this subdivision in 2007, CPDM has won all elections here. But today, if you go and knock the door of anybody here in Limbe 3, they will tell you that they have no confidence again in the CPDM government because of this road.
The road leading to the slave trade village is just one of the key problems for the inhabitants of Bimbia in the Limbe 3 subdivision. Even getting to Mabeta, a village that produces over 70% of crayfish consumed in Cameroon, is facing a similar problem as road users suffer before they get to Mabeta and back with crayfish. Transport fare from Limbe town to Mabeta and back is 4,000 due to the poor state of the roads.
An element of the Rapid Intervention Battalion of the Cameroonian Army has reached out to students and teachers of government primary school Kumbambeng, that's in the Kumba 1 municipality in the Meme Division, southwest region of Cameroon. Simanjikan Gabriel tells us again.
Several neighborhoods in Kumba have at least been touched by the ongoing crisis in the northwest and southwest regions, leading to some quarters being abandoned alongside schools. It is in this light that the elements of the southern zone of the Rapid Intervention Battalion Force B visited the government bilingual primary school in Kumbambeng with some didactic materials.
Just continuing the doctrine of the head of state, which instructs us to educate our population to know that the military is how to protect them, to protect their goods, and not to kill them. For those who are passing a wrong message, we want to tell the truth and prove to the children that we are how to protect them.
Printers, computers, books, packs of chalks and school bags were some of the materials given out to the school, and this exercise falls in line with the civil-military cooperation. It was an occasion for the divisional officer to call on parents to send their kids to school.
This is a school with more than 1,000 people, and I in fact appreciate the enrollment, the courage of the parents and children to send their kids to school. And I'm calling on others who are still dragging their feet at home that they should come to school. Their place is school, and parents should know that by refusing to send their children to school is directly destroying the future of their children. So I would like to encourage the teachers.
The exercise, the commander of the Sid military region of the Southern Zone says it will continue to other areas under his jurisdiction.
On a visit to the economic capital of Cameroon today, Cameroon's Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elanga Obams, visited some project sites, notably the new Daido market, where traders complained of the plans to relocate the market, and equally the Congo market, where a foundation stone was laid for the construction of the new Congo Mall. Simad Njikangebe Rada Hemine Luga tells us more in the following report.
It was a marathon field inspection visit today by the Minister of Decentralization and Local Development, George Elanga Obam, in Douala, alongside an administrative delegation. Prior on his schedule in the economic metropolis was to inspect some major projects fallen within his ministry. From the Beseke site to the Daido New Market, traders had specific ways to communicate with the minister. Though saluting his presence, they tabled their worries of not wanting the demolition of the new Daido Market as they overheard from the Douala City Council. The minister, however, took into consideration some key worrying aspects in the market, such as no well-paved lanes, poor hygiene in the market, and global disorder as traders turned to sell along the streets rather than expose their goods in shops existing in the market. From the new Daido market, the delegation took off to the Congo market, one which has been hit on regular basis by flames. For victims of the last fire incident in the market, a relocation site has been put in place.
The place where the market will be relocated, temporarily be relocated. So because as we have to do works, civil works there at the old market, all the tenants will be relocated here during the work period, so that at the end of this period, everybody could have the opportunity to have a good and a new shop.
I then went to visit the new Daido market that is going to be demolished, and what I saw there was a proof of what we should not do. I then visited where people who are going to leave that market are going to be installed for a moment. They are quite ready, and they told me that in 2 months' time, people will start going there and the market of Daido will be demolished. They say Neo Congo Mall, that is the name. We had a very beautiful presentation of how the market is going to be built and how it is going to function. The man in charge of building and exploiting the market told us that instead of 22 months, the market was going to be built in 18 months.
A relocation exercise which should give room for the proper construction of the Congo market. The laying of the foundation stone for works to commence was thus done by Minister George Elanga Obam.
An excellent institution of higher learning in Cameroon and leader in its sector, the Alpha Higher Institute in the city of Douala has immatriculated its new batch of students, as you hear in the following report.
Welcome to Alpha Higher Institute of Biomedical and Technological Sciences Douala and Alpha Professional Training Institute Douala, with its dispersed campuses A, B and C situated at Daido, Novoizas, Mabanda and Katretaj Bunaberi respectively. With a set of outstanding lecturers with a broad knowledge in the domains of specialization, students are trained in banking and finance, insurance, accountancy, marketing, medical and biomedical courses, among other specialties.
Alpha Higher Institution is all about the higher institution that has to do with MBA programs, bachelor's programs, as well as HND programs. And we equally have an English and a French department sections.
Of international standards, the finished products are desirable, excellent results, and the students do testify.
Actually, Alpha has had one of the unbeatable results in the previous years, and most especially the one of last year. Actually, we came out with distinction, and we hope that our batch of this year, graduating batch, is going to excel and give the most recognizable results that the Republic is actually going to have. So I want to encourage each and every one of us who are watching this to come to Alpha and know that Alpha is just the best for you.
The best place for studies, the spacious lecture halls and airy campuses expands the students' body on a yearly basis, giving room for innovations so as to make the learning environment comfortable.
We equally, for renovations this year, besides the MBA that took off last year, effectively with 10 students, we have another campus at Campus C, which is effectively going on. We are opening another campus at PK14, and I think that's our own way that Alpha is contributing for the development of this nation, and not forgetting the situation that we are facing. You saw we had to do something for our internally displaced person.
Be it bachelor's or master's programs, registration are still ongoing.
Well, registrations are still going on in the campuses, and if you are interested, be in the medical department, the business management or finance department, for bachelor's or master's, you will be highly welcome.
Welcome indeed. Like these freshmen on campus, who via this matriculation ceremony affirmed to be exemplary students who will abide to the school laws and conducts for outstanding results.
I will not be part of any negative rumors or backbiting, which can tarnish the image of the institution. With loyalty, I will endeavor to aid my lecturers. To do their work by remaining focused.
Alpha University Complex, Douala. Better learning, better investment. Alpha University.
Thanks for staying with us. Up next is Talking Point. Welcome to Talking Point. We are receiving a young politician. He is Fabrice Lena. He is the National Communication Secretary of the Popular Action Party, that is the PAP political party in Cameroon. Fabrice Lena, thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Armstrong. It's a pleasure to be in this noble platform once more to discuss crucial issues affecting our country. Especially this moment where there are a lot of issues concerning young people and stakes that young people need to engage in to avert the nature of things.
It's not common in Cameroon to see young people actively in political party politics in Cameroon.
Yeah, that is true. It's because the system in place had put a very bad system of education that brainwashed young people and dissuade them from politics, making them to feel that political activities is meant only for the old, and that is why it has produced the kind of results we are having today, because people suffering from dementia, old, and their knowledge do not reflect the society in which they are leading is the common issue in Cameroon. We of the Popular Action Party rather think that in any leadership position or in any institution, 60% of leadership should be in the hands of the youth. And that's why the national president of this party is a very young man, just 40 years old, and most of the national executive members are very young people.
Of the Popular Action Party.
Of course.
That's a very good. The Popular Action Party is a party in itself and equally a member of the platform Stand Up for Cameroon.
Yeah. The Popular Action Party is a member of Stand Up for Cameroon because we've noticed that in Cameroon, political parties are mostly working on individual basis, and most of the elitist parties had been focused on political positions. But we have come in a moment where we think that political parties need to come under a platform, have a common agenda against a common enemy, because as of now we have a state that is against the people of Cameroon. The officials of Cameroon had done a lot of bad things to the Cameroonian people that they need serious apology.
Which officials are you talking about that have done bad things to Cameroon that needs to apologize to the Cameroonian people? Who are the officials?
Starting from the President of the Republic.
Okay.
You know, when we take the confessions of the President of the Republic at the Paris Peace Summit some time ago, we discovered that he has known all this, why the suffering and lamentation of the English-speaking people since the 1961, because he has been working with the government since then until when he ascended to power as the President of the Republic right up to 2016. So he's aware of all the things that have been happening on the background, trying to assimilate the English-speaking people. Unfortunately for him, he chose to use a radical and bad method of resolving issues that could be otherwise resolved by simple dialogue or granting the wishes of the people. So he needs to apologize to the English-speaking people in particular and to the Cameroonian people. And for us to come out of the multiple crises, we need to go back into the 1961 Constitution, wherein we have to look at what went wrong and define a new Cameroon from there, if at all there is still an iota of sincerity remaining in him as President of the Republic or his officials. But as I think now, the best thing for him to do is to resign and create a new Cameroon that we are wishing for, which is a political transition starting with his departure, because the Popular Action Party thinks that as of now there is no good thing that can come out of this regime. That's why they organized a masquerade of elections. And,
before we go to the elections, you talk about a confession made by the president while in Paris, France. What's the confession to the English people?
Yes, the confession is that he said with his own mouth, not me saying it. It's not Fabrice Lena. He said it. The whole world was saying that they had tried to integrate. That word integrate is because he did not want to use assimilation. It's simply assimilation of the English-speaking people whose culture is authentic. And when we look at it critically in Cameroon, you will discover that a lot of young, talented Cameroonians, especially from the English background, with the Anglo-Saxon system of education and culture, have run out of the country, seeking refuge in other countries in the diaspora, simply because they don't feel Cameroonians. They have not been given the opportunity to express themselves and show the talent they have. And these are some of the things that the president is guilty of, and those are crime against humanity for making someone not to feel the citizenship of his own country. When they come up with issues of tribalism or to vote laws against tribalism, I think the people propagating or even at the center of these terrible social vices is the regime in place, because it is a commonplace in Yaoundé to go into an office and speak English till date, and people tell you that you see those type of things are one of the root cause of the crisis that we are in today. So we think that the head of state has outlived his time. It is time for him to give to another person, so that young Cameroonians can take back their country and start anew.
Yes, sir. Just one last concern about the statements of the President of the Republic of Cameroon. He talked of integration. He said it was assimilation. He just avoided the word. But what is it that is in Cameroon that will give somebody the impression, or tell somebody that Anglophones are so many Anglophones?
Let's take the education system. You see, the Anglo-Saxon education system has its authenticity and some specifics, and the program of harmonization of the Anglophone system, the autonomy of the GCE board, and some other institutions under the Anglophone system of education had been francophonized, which has made most students that study the Anglo-Saxon system of education in Yaoundé and Douala will not be the same like those in Bamenda and Boya. That is just a show of the assimilation. We go to the judicial system where certain courts cannot hear, like French system is being used to judge an Englishman who believes in the common law system and the customary court system. The civil law system is being used against a common law man, which does not work, because we believe that in our law system, evidences must be shown before someone is being charged guilty of a crime. Unlike the civil court, where people are arbitrarily arrested and detained before investigations are made about his crime. So you see, it's contradictory. And someone who has the culture of truth, justice, and peace which is one of those values and principles of the Anglo-Saxon system, will not feel comfortable in such system. Those are show of assimilation, and many more of those things that we live on daily basis in the markets, in social places, in social gatherings, where other towns are getting better in social development and others are relegated into background. Bad roads, just like the example you saw in Bimbia, and so many other parts of the English-speaking region that are producing a substantial amount of the GDP of this country. It's appalling that a part of the country that's producing a huge amount of resources to sustain the national territory in return gains nothing to its people to sustain a normal standard of life. So it is on that basis that we think the English people had the legitimate right to stand up for their rights and to reclaim or demand for what belongs to them.
You mentioned stand up, and it sounds like stand up for Cameroon, and that's a platform where you belong. Today, Douala, stand up for Cameroon, speaking like in a voice of speaking for the PAP, speaking for the CPP, the MP3, and other international and NGOs that are under stand up for Cameroon, say no to election, advancing many points. One, the Anglophone crisis as a major issue, why elections should not take place in Cameroon, why there should be no to election.
Stand Up for Cameroon is a movement, a platform that is beyond political parties. You know, the Popular Action Parties, Cameroon People's Party, UPC, MP3, and some other political parties have discovered it is not today that we are taking this stand, and I want to use this platform to pass this message to Cameroonians that please, it is not the matter of the popularity of a political party or a politician, but it is the consistency, the credibility of the party and the politician that makes it for future posterity and leadership. Let us stop this thing of, and I also want to say this to the media and press men, that it is your opportunity to tell Cameroonians the truth. You know the truth, I know the truth, we know the truth. Let us stand for the truth. Stand Up for Cameroon is calling Cameroonians to stand up for Cameroon. Let us keep our political agendas aside, come up as an opposition against a state that has refused to recognize the problem of its people and solve it appropriately. That's why we came as a platform to say no to the dubious and fraudulent elections of the organized by the CBDN regime, to continue keeping the Cameroonian people in misery and poverty, on the development and political impasse. That is why we say no to elections. We cannot go for elections with the current Anglophone crisis without ceasefire, with the numerous refugees in Nigeria, with the IDPs, 500,000 people in the country, with those that are still the leaders of the secessionist movement in prison, those detained, and the insecurity in the extreme north, the insecurity in east, and so many multiple crises in the country from different fronts. Cameroonians are faced with problems of basic necessities that they want to eat, they want to survive, they want to live. And in such condition, you cannot be talking about elections. That's why in 2018 you saw high level of voters apathy. People were not interested. Right up to now, if you go to the street, you will discover so many Cameroonians are just living hand to mouth life. They want to survive. They don't want to talk about politics because the government had made them to believe that there is no hope in politics. But I want to call Cameroonians that it is the contrary. If you see countries like Burkina Faso, if you see countries like Sudan, Nigeria, coming up today to change dictatorial regimes, to stand up for their country, to ask that it is time for us to give concern for our country. It is the same thing that our movement and platform is calling on Cameroonians to stand up for Cameroon. We believe that Cameroon will be a better place if we go back and reform institutions and have a true national dialogue, reconciliation, reform systems before we go for a sincere elections that will reflect the aspiration of the Cameroonian people.
And one of the issues to raise is the Anglophone crisis, and that we can't go to the polls with the current problem in the north and south. Do you think Anglophones are not ready to vote come February 9, 2020?
Those who are ready to vote are those who are going for their stomachs, and not those who are going to reflect aspiration of Cameroonians. You won't tell me that somebody is in the bush, they have seized his voter's card. The person does not even, most electoral offices in the Northwest and Southwest are not open. Grass is growing there. Who are they going to vote? Even those that were in the opposition that have struggled to even speak for the people had been lambasted, relegated to the background, some persecuted. There is no private member bill in the Parliament of Cameroon that had ever been respected or even considered to any extent.
Fabrice Lena, how does how does no to election help then in resolving the Anglophone crisis?
Because no to elections will make us to have a strong force, and I appreciate the move of the MRC party recently, and I think that the SDF and the party PCRN have to rethink their positions and better still stand with the people and be consistent with the people. It is not about yourself, it's about the people. And no to elections, yes to political transition. It is time for us to define the histories, to reconcile with our colonial past. It's time for us
political
to
transition.
come up, yes, with a new Cameroon. So we say no to election, yes to political transition, and the reason for no to election has been clearly established.
Yes.
The how is coming with time, and we pray God is with us. Things will change very soon.
Finally, yes to political transition. How would that be possible? How
that's why I'm saying the how will manifest itself when the time comes. Yes, and we want to assure that it is more of Cameroonians think than myself as an individual will not do anything, but as Cameroonians we will stand up together. There is never a country in the world where a selected member called government defeats a people who are united and determined for change. So the people will stand up for their rights and change will come.
Thanks very much, Fabrice Lena. You are the National Communications Secretary of the Popular Action Political Party, a young politician in Cameroon. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much. It will always be my pleasure to share with Cameroonians what they need to know at any time, any point.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying with us tonight. Have a nice weekend, all of you in Cameroon and out of Cameroon.